Here are 10 vocal production tips. Tip 1 is to add a modulated double. A modulated double in vocal production refers to a technique where a producer duplicates takes of a vocal performance and then modulates the take slightly or aggressively to create a thicker, more lush vocal sound. This technique is often used to add depth and richness to a vocal track, making it sound fuller and more interesting. Now, there are several reasons why producers might use modulated doubles in vocal production. First off, we can enhance depth and texture. By duplicating vocal takes and modulating them slightly or aggressively, producers can create a more layered and textured vocal sound, and this adds depth to the vocal track, making it sound fuller and more dynamic. Secondly, we can increase richness. Modulated doubles can help enrich the overall sound of the vocal performance. The variations introduced through the modulation add richness and complexity to the vocal, making it more interesting to listen to. Thirdly, we can fill out the mix. In some cases, a single vocal track may not be enough to fill out the mix, especially in genres like pop or rock, where thick vocal arrangements are common. Modulated doubles can help fill out the frequency spectrum and create a more robust vocal presence in the mix. And fourthly, creating emphasis. Modulated doubles can be used strategically to emphasize certain phrases or sections of the vocal performance. By modulating the duplicates differently from the original vocal, producers can draw attention to specific parts of the song and create a more dynamic overall effect. And finally, adding movement and variation. Modulated doubles introduce variations in pitch, timing, or other sonic characteristics, which can add movement and variation to the vocal track. This can help to maintain listener interest and prevent the vocal from sounding repetitive or monotonous. So let's dive into this practically. So let me bounce this as is with the processing on here. So we have got our lead vocal.
You can go your own way.
Now let's double this. We're just going to copy this over. Let's mute that for now. So we've got our lead and we've got our lead double. So I'm going to modulate the double. So we'll leave our lead vocal as is, and we're going to start adding some modulation. Now, the sky really is the limit here. I'm going to use a combination of these different techniques, and I'll just kind of show you some of them now. So let's put an ensemble on here. Let's try and thicken this out and create this chorusing.
You can go your own way. You can go your own way. You can call it another lonely, 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 lonely day. You can go your own way. You can go your own way. Ooh, ooh. You can go your own way. You can go your...
And let's perhaps put pitch shifter on here. Let's move the sense a little bit.
You can go your own way. You can go your own way. You can call it another lonely, 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 lonely day.
So what I'm doing here is I'm actually just moving the pitch slightly here so that we can move the phase out a little bit more. So what that's allowing me to do is to try to mitigate as much phasing issues as possible, because we've copied this over. So we don't want these to cancel each other out because they're exact duplicates. Whereas if we were recording a second take of this, there's naturally going to be slight timing and pitch variations. So I'm trying to kind of spread this out as much as possible using this tool here, as well as a little bit of subtle pitch shifting here so that we can have this living in its own space. And of course you can add reverb as well.
You can go your own way. You can go your own way. You can call
And you can also kind of create a harmony as well.
You can go your own way.
Now, of course, we'd have to finesse this in and automate the semitones to make this feel right in the context.
You can go your own way. You can go your own way.
Or the fifth below.
You can call it another lonely, 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 lonely day.
So let's try something else. So we've kind of thickened this out. Let's try adding some more modulation using some different tools to create more movement and texture. So I'm going to use a flanger. Let's go to mono to stereo.
You can go your own way. You can go your own way. You can call it another lonely, 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 lonely day. You can go your own way. You can go your own way.
So we're getting this more textured kind of sound. We've got this pushed out to the sides and it's creating this width and texture with a little bit of movement going on. So these are a couple of ways that you can create this different kind of texture using a modulated double. So let's listen to this in the context of the music and turn this on and off. Let's bring it up just so that you can hear it a little more. So without. And then with.
You can go your own way. You can go your own way. You can call it another lonely, 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 lonely day.
So with the flanger, we're creating this pitch variation that is a lot more audible. If we use something like a chorus, we're just going to create this more thick and wide sound.
You can go your own way. You can go your own way. You can call it another lonely, 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 lonely day. You can go your own way. You can go your own way.
So that is how you can use the modulated double to really accentuate your vocals, particularly in scenarios where you're not able to record multiple takes. Perhaps you're working remotely, perhaps you're not able to get back in to the studio with an artist and you just want to thicken these up. Before we move on to the next tip, over 1,000 self-recording musicians who have been struggling to achieve the sound in their head have downloaded our free 12 steps to organize your session cheat sheet and used it to improve the quality of their entire mixes in a matter of days. This cheat sheet gives you a foolproof system to organize and properly prepare your sessions for mixing to give your songs the treatment they deserve. Ultimately, this will help you to prepare like a professional and generate consistently great mixes. So if you want to get access for free, just click the link in the description below and enter your details. Tip 2 is to automate effects. Automating effects in vocal production refers to the process of dynamically adjusting the parameters of effects plugins, such as reverb, delay, EQ, etc., over the course of a vocal track to achieve specific sonic changes or enhancements. This technique allows producers and engineers to create dynamic and expressive vocal performances by tailoring the effects to suit different parts of the song. Automating effects in vocal production serves several important purposes. First off, enhancing creativity. Automating effects allows producers to experiment with different sonic textures and dynamic changes in real time. This creative flexibility enables them to sculpt the vocal sound to match the artistic vision of the song. Secondly, we allow dynamic expression. By automating effects, we can add dynamic movement and expression to the vocal performance. For example, they can gradually increase reverb or delay during a vocal build-up to create tension and anticipation, or they can apply filtering effects to create dramatic transitions between sections of a song. Thirdly, tailoring to the mix. Automating effects allows producers to tailor the vocal mix to fit seamlessly within the context of the song. They can adjust effects parameters to complement the instrumentation, arrangement, and overall mood of the track, ensuring that the vocal sits well in the mix and enhances the overall listening experience. And fourthly, emotional impact. Effects automation can amplify the emotional impact of the vocal performance. By applying effects creatively and dynamically, producers can emphasize certain phrases or convey specific emotions more effectively, eliciting a stronger emotional response from the listener. And finally, maintaining interest. Dynamic changes in vocal effects helps maintain listener interest throughout the song. By introducing subtle variations in effects parameters, producers can keep the vocal performance engaging and prevent it from sounding repetitive or stagnant. So let's dive into this with some specific examples. So we're going to look at this section here.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
So there's a couple things that we can do here, and there's also a few things that I've done already. So the reason that I have chosen this particular section is that we've got spaces here, which means that we can allow some automation to fill that space, as well as add some other tasty little nuggets in here. So first of all, let's automate a delay here. So we'll pick our H delay. Let's put it on ping pong. Now I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to add some distortion and modulation as well. So I'm going to put decapitator on here.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in. I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer.
Okay, let's try a half note.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to do some shaping here.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. I'll be whispering sweet.
Some very aggressive build up here.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen?
So I'm just bringing the gain down here because we've got quite a lot of build up here. Let me bring the output down as well.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
Okay. And then I'm going to add some modulation as well. Let's maybe put a rotor cabinet.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer. I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you? I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer.
Okay, so I love this as it is. We can do some additional tone shaping as well, but for now, let's just dive into automating this. So I just want these parts to swell up here and here. So let's just record this in.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen?
let's bring the gain up here. We're going to have to finesse this a bit more.
I'll be whispering.
We're going to have an easier time actually drawing this in. So bring that down.
I'll be whispering. Sweet nothing.
In fact, let's do this. Let's actually automate this to turn on and off. So let's just do that. So I know that I want...
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come close.
So I want to actually just have this is really nicely filling this space without me automating it. So I'm just going to automate the on and off because I know that here I don't want this to echo.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in. Though.
Okay, let's finesse this. Let's even turn this off because here I want to do something else. Let me just shape the tone a little further. There's too much low mids for me.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you?
Okay, let's add some more space here. The sky really is the limit here. You do not have to just settle for one effect.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in. Though I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
Okay, so here I'm going to automate another effect here. So I'm going to send this to little altar boy. Let's do this.
Will you listen? Come closer, let me in. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
So we can do will you listen?
Will you listen? Come.
So just up to here, and we can automate this to turn on and off on this section.
Will you listen? 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 Come closer, let me in.
And then I'm going to do a final effect here. I'm going to really heavily tune this.
Come closer, let me in. Though. Come closer, let me in. Come closer, let me in.
I want to try something here. I want to see what sliding down the pitch does.
Come closer, let me in. Though.
There we are. Okay. So I'm going to automate this to slide down.
Come closer, let me in. Though.
There we go.
Come closer, let me in. Though. Come closer, let me in. Though. Come closer, let me in.
So we're creating this really cool effect because we're bringing the pitch down, but it's also running through this tuner. So it's really heavily tuning it. We can
Come closer, let me in. Though.
we can even go a step further and actually tune this to the key.
Come closer, let me in. Though. Come closer, let me in. Though. Come closer, let me in. Though. Come closer, let me in.
So we'll turn this on to just come on in this section here. And then I've also got a vocal production part that I've recorded in and added some effects on this boo here already. So we've got this happening where we've got some modulated doubles. So we've got 2 recorded doubles that we've just panned left and right. So that's just a recording production decision. And then we've doubled this with our little devil lock. So we've got crush and crunch on, and then we've got little altar boy bringing down the octave, and we will discuss octaves later on. So just sounds like this all together. And that distortion is also creating this kind of roar, which is really cool. So on boo, so that's just with the effect that we just automated here. Now with this stack, we've got this kind of roar and double as well. So let's listen to what we've added here.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
Okay, so let's just bring this down. I think we've got that automation locked in here. So let's delete this. And then let's just blend this in a little bit more subtly.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in. I'll be whispering. I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
So let's duplicate this. It's going to be a lot easier for me to just do this so that we can A, B. Let's delete all automation. Let's turn all of this off. And now let's listen to our lead with no automation, and then we'll listen to it with.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in. Oh.
Now let's listen to what we've done with our automation.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
Let's bring our octave up a little bit.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
So we're creating these moments and we're accentuating these different lyrical phrases, and we're trying to match the emotion with the effects that we're automating, and it's creating more of a journey for the listener. And this is just one section of the song, and we can do this in broader brush strokes, and we can also do these in more granular brush strokes like what we are doing here. Tip 3 is to create synthetic harmonies. Creating synthetic harmonies using tools like Melodyne or Flex Pitch in vocal production involves using pitch correction software to manipulate the pitch of the original vocal performance, generating additional harmonized vocal tracks automatically. Creating synthetic harmonies using tools like Melodyne or Flex Pitch serves several purposes. Firstly, you can get enhanced vocal arrangements. Adding harmonies can enrich the overall sound of the vocal performance, making it more interesting and engaging for the listener. Synthetic harmonies allow producers to experiment with different vocal arrangements and create harmonies that complement the lead vocal effectively. Secondly, it helps us to fill out the sound. Harmonies can fill out the sound of a vocal performance, particularly in genres where thick vocal arrangements are common, such as pop, rock, gospel, etc. Synthetic harmonies provide a convenient way to add depth and richness to the vocal mix without needing additional vocalists or recording multiple takes. Thirdly, creative exploration. Using pitch correction software to create synthetic harmonies opens up a world of creative possibilities. Producers can experiment with different harmonization options, explore unconventional vocal arrangements, and push the boundaries of traditional vocal production techniques. Next, we have flexibility and control. Synthetic harmonies offer producers complete control over the pitch, timing, and other parameters of the harmonized vocal tracks. This flexibility allows them to tailor the harmonies to fit the specific needs of the song and achieve the desired emotional impact. And finally, a more practical reason, time, cost, and efficiency. Recording multiple vocal takes or hiring additional vocalists to create harmonies can be time-consuming and costly. Creating synthetic harmonies offers a more efficient alternative, allowing producers to generate harmonies quickly and easily using pitch correction software. Now, of course, the choice is yours. If you want a more traditional route, then you can absolutely just record all of these harmonies with your vocalist doing these overdubs, or you can also record a choir, a group of people, etc. This can also be a useful tool for just fleshing out ideas as well. So let's look at this in a more practical setup. So we've got our lead vocal here.
Ride or die. Ready to go, oh, I'm all in. Ride or die. Taking the weight through thick and thin. Ride or die. I take a shot cause you're my friend. Ride or die. Sticking it out right till the
So we have got these harmonies here that are all synthetic harmonies. So let's have a listen to these harmonies soloed with our vocal.
Ride or die. Ready to go, oh, I'm all in. Ride or die. Taking the weight through thick and thin. Ride or die. I take a shot cause you're my friend. Ride or die. Sticking it out.
And in the context of the music,
Ride or die. Ready to go, oh, I'm all in. Ride or die. Taking the weight through thick and thin. Ride or die. I take a shot cause you're my friend. Ride or die. Sticking it out right till the
so these can pass off as normal harmonies that have been recorded by our vocalist, but these have been done synthetically. So let me walk you through how I went about doing this. So there's two ways we can do this. Let me just quickly bounce this lead vocal. For this particular instance, I actually just used Flex Pitch, which is Logic Pro's native manual pitch correction software. So let's use that for this example. You can also use Melodyne, but for this, I'm just going to use Flex Pitch. So you can actually see here, this is a harmony take that I have manually moved the pitch around. So what I did here was this. I just manually
ride or die. Ride. Ride or die. Ride or die.
and I'm just bringing the vibrato down a little bit as well, just to smooth this out a little more.
Ride or die. Ride or die.
And then you can copy this over, you can change your harmonies here, you can bounce this, you can then change to a different take, which is what I did with these other harmonies. I just comped a different take, and then I changed the harmonies so that we had the same harmony line but two separate takes so that we're not creating phasing issues. And then I panned these out hard left and hard right. And then I also created these additional lines here. So let's have a listen to what we've got going on here.
Ride or die. Ready to go, oh, I'm all in. Ride or die. Taking the weight through thick and thin.
Let's get rid of this. Where is this take here? Yeah, let's get rid of that so we can just listen to the harmonies.
Ride or die. Ride or die.
And then these come in.
Ride or die. Ride or die. Ride or die.
So these sound really synthetic when you solo them, but when we tuck them back in the mix and we have these with these other harmonies, it's a lot more forgivable. And then we've got this harmony. So we've just got this one note kind of droning on each of these.
Ride, ride, ride or die. Ride, ride, ride or die. Ride, ride, ride or die. Ride, ride, ride or die.
So the sky is the limit here. You can create whole complex vocal arrangements just using these synthetic harmonies that you can manipulate with manual pitch correction. So this is the line where a tool like manual pitch correction becomes more creative as opposed to just a technical tool that we use to correct pitch. So this is a great way to experiment with different arrangements before you record and also to flesh out your arrangements. You may have some harmonies that you've tracked in a session and you might want to add some more and you don't have access to that vocalist anymore, and you can get a little bit more creative and just start to flesh things out. Tip 4 is throws and swells. In vocal production, reverb throws and delay throws refer to creative techniques where reverb or delay effects are applied to specific words, phrases, or sections of a vocal performance for dramatic effect. Reverb swells are similar, but typically involve gradually increasing the intensity of reverb over a certain portion of the vocal. Using reverb throws, delay throws, and reverb swells in vocal production serves several purposes. Firstly, it adds emphasis and impact. Applying reverb or delay effects to specific words, phrases, or sections of a vocal performance can draw attention to those elements, emphasizing their importance within the song. This adds impact and intensity to the vocal, enhancing the emotional resonance of the lyrics. Secondly, this adds drama and dynamics. Reverb throws and delay throws create moments of drama and dynamic contrast in the vocal performance. By introducing sudden bursts of reverb or delay, producers can create tension, anticipation, and excitement, leading to a more engaging listening experience. Thirdly, we can add depth and atmosphere. Reverb throws and reverb swells contribute to the overall depth and atmosphere of the vocal mix. By adding space and ambience to the vocal track, these effects create a sense of immersion and envelopment, making the vocal sound more expansive and captivating. Fourthly, we can add creative expression. Using reverb throws, delay throws, and reverb swells allows producers to express their creativity and enhance the artistic vision of the song. These effects can be used to convey specific emotions, highlight key moments, or add texture and dimension to the vocal performance, contributing to the overall mood and atmosphere of the track. And finally, we can add production polish. Incorporating reverb throws and delay throws, as well as reverb swells in your vocal production, adds a level of polish and professionalism to your production and mix. These effects help to refine the vocal sound, smoothing out transitions, enhancing the overall clarity and coherence of the performance. So we've already added a delay throw with our automation in our automation tip earlier on. So this here is a delay throw. So we can do this with sends, and we can also just duplicate tracks and create these reverb throws and swells. So for this, we've actually got a lovely nice copy here. So let's demonstrate some reverb throws and swells. So reverb throws are typically going to involve just throwing reverb with 100% mix on certain phrases, whereas swells are actually going to allow us to swell like so into certain parts. So let me show you our throws first. So let's say that we want a throw here.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings.
And then nothing, we could have a throw as well.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
So these are throws. For now, let's turn this off with our delay throw because we've already kind of showed that. And let's just focus in on these reverb throws.
I'll be whispering sweet nothings.
And of course, you can shape the tone as well. The important thing here is that we want our reverb to be 100% wet. So similarly to a send, this is our send, but rather than us sending it, we're just copying this over. We're duplicating the audio signal and then we're blending that in with volume.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing.
Now, of course, you can add more effects here. You can add distortion, you can pitch shift, you can filter it, you can add modulation, but let's just keep it simple for this demonstration. So we've got our throws. Now let's turn this off. Let's make this a delay throw. So we want these throws to happen on these parts here. So let's pull up, what do we want to work with? Repeater. Let's have our spread on. We want it 100% wet. Let's put our feedback to around here, shape the tone of it, and then
I'll be whispering sweet nothing. Will you listen?
So we've got that. We can add in parts if we want more of the phrase, like what we had originally. And you can absolutely do this on a send, but I personally prefer to have these like this so I can actually see them.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing. Will you listen? Come closer, let me in.
So that's how we can create delay throws. Now let's move on to our reverb swells, which is slightly different here. So let's go back to our Valhalla vintage verb here. And let's create some reverb swells. So I'm going to create this swell up here. And then a swell up here as well. And then have it swell down like so. You can have it cut off really abruptly.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing.
So that's a really modern technique that a lot of productions have, where we have a reverb swell up and then gate down, so we don't have the tail. If we want it to be more traditional, we can do something like this.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing.
Now, of course, that's quite abrupt here with the transition. You'll have to dial this into taste.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing. Will you listen? Come closer, let me. I'll be whispering sweet nothing.
So we're using a combination of volume automation and our wet reverb with a long tail. You can put the decay longer if you want. Bring the pre-delay down. We can shape the tone here.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing. Will you listen?
So that creates a lot more interest because we're actually creating movement over time using the volume as well. I personally really love to use these reverb swells. I also really love gating them like this.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing.
These are really great for creating tension and special moments within your song. So let's just gate these even more.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing. Will you listen?
So we can create some really interesting effects here. You can reverse these as well and create some really cool effects. Let's put our reverser on here and put that before our reverb.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing.
So we can create this really ominous, interesting texture here. If we put the mix 100%, we're just getting reversed signal.
I'll be whispering sweet nothing.
So it can be really haunting. So if you're going for that kind of emotional tone, you can play around with that as well. So that is reverb swells, reverb throws, and delay throws. Tip 5 is layering octaves. Layering manually pitch shifted octaves in vocal production involves recording or duplicating a vocal track and then manually adjusting the pitch of the duplicated track to create additional vocal layers that sound an octave higher or lower than the original. This technique is used to add depth, richness, and texture to the vocal sound, creating a fuller and more dynamic vocal performance. Layering manually pitch shifted octaves in vocal production offers several benefits. Firstly, we can add depth and richness. Adding pitch shifted octaves creates a thicker and more full-bodied vocal sound, enhancing the overall depth and richness of the vocal performance. Secondly, we can get texture and dimension. The additional vocal layers add texture and dimension to the vocal mix, making it more dynamic and engaging for the listener. Thirdly, we can have more control and flexibility. Manually pitch shifting vocal layers gives producers complete control over the sound and allows for creative experimentation with different vocal arrangements. And finally, we can enhance harmonics. Pitch shifted octaves can enhance the harmonics of the vocal performance, making it sound more vibrant and expressive. So let's show this practically. So we have got this lead vocal here, and let's listen to what we are working with so far.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control. Now watch how you fall.
So we can add octaves here, an octave above, an octave below, and even further, and also layer this with some different processing to create a more interesting vocal production. So let's duplicate our lead here, and I'm going to go to auto tune for this, and I'm just going to bring this down an octave. I'm going to bring the transposition down, and I'm also going to bring the formant down.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in.
And we can also go further here, and we can add some modulation. Let's say we want some chorus on here.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control. Now watch how you fall. You think you held me down, but I keep coming, trying your best to stop the house from burning. Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace.
That's without.
You cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your.
And you can also layer the octave above and see how this sounds. So let's mute our low octave.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already in.
And then you can bring the throat length up or down.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control. Now watch how you fall. You think you held me down, but I keep coming, trying your best to stop the house from burning.
So we can also go a step further. We can add some spatial processing here. Let's maybe put a reverb on here. And then we can make this 100% wet.
How you fall. You think you held me down, but I keep coming, trying your best to stop the house from burning.
So let's bring this in for the second part of this verse. It's essentially add some automation here. And then let's have our low octave, and then let's A/B how this sounds with and without. So without.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control.
and now with these additional octaves that we've added.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control. Now watch how you fall. You think you held me down, but I keep coming, trying your best to stop the house from burning.
Now this is completely scratching the surface here. We can automate a lot of this. We can add more effects to this. We can automate effects over time with each of these octave doubles, these octave layers here, and actually start to make more of a fluid arrangement here. Leaving this statically is fine. Yeah, it adds more to the production, it fills it out, but we really want to think about how we are aiding the story of the song and the emotional intent as well. And the other layer of this is actually starting to affect these different parameters over time to accentuate different parts within the vocal performance. So there you have it. That is layering octaves. Tip 6 is resampling vocals. Resampling vocals in vocal production refers to the process of capturing a vocal recording, then manipulating or processing that recording in some way, and finally capturing the altered version as a new audio file. This technique allows producers to apply various effects, edits, or treatments to a vocal performance, and then incorporate the modified version back into the production. Resampling vocals in vocal production offers several benefits, including creativity and experimentation. Resampling allows producers to experiment with different effects, treatments, and processing techniques to create unique and innovative vocal sounds. It also lends itself to customization. Producers can tailor the processing applied during resampling to suit the specific needs and style of the song, resulting in a vocal performance that fits seamlessly with the overall production. It also can help enhance dynamics. Resampling can help add dynamics and interest to the vocal performance, making it more dynamic and engaging for the listener. And finally, it can help with workflow efficiency. By capturing the altered version of the vocal as a new audio file, producers can streamline their workflow and easily manipulate and arrange the resampled vocals within their DAW. So first of all, we can drag our lead vocal section into our sampler. So to do this, I can just drag this down to the bottom here, and I can either put it in sampler zone per note. I'm going to go quick sampler optimized. And here we have it in slice mode. So what we can actually do here, if I put my musical typing,
That works. Think, this works. You think, what you.
so I can actually chop up these little slices and play in a vocal chop. I can play this as a one shot. So
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, you cannot hide.
and that will just play through that, or the classic is
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace.
so the time and pitch is affected
Putting on a lot of faces.
as you go up and down. So the pitch and timing is affected as I play up and down the keyboard.
Putting on a lot.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but
And we can choose how we want this to play back. We can loop it. We can choose how we want this looped. We can reverse it. We can play around with the pitch. So you can create some really interesting vocal effects here, and you can also resample different vocals in different songs. So I could take this song and then I could put it in another song of one of my productions and completely change it around and use this sampling to create my own vocal samples, as opposed to relying on somewhere like Splice or any other sample platform. So here is kind of the first way that we can do this. What we can also do here is create the sampled vocal effect that we want and then print this to audio. So let's say, for instance, that I want to pitch this up, add some add a bit crusher. I'm just going to soothe this out a little bit.
You think you held me down, but I keep coming.
And then let's say that we want to make this a kind of drone. Let's go to chroma verb.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside.
So we could choose to sample this if we wanted to. Or we can simply leave this as is, and let's say I want to reverse this. And maybe I want to make a new kind of pattern here. Let's find something else here. There we go. So we can kind of create this new vocal sample from just manipulating all of these parameters.
A lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kind of thinking I might like this deception control.
And then we can kind of make this new pattern here.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kind of thinking I might like this deception control. Now watch how you fall.
So we can kind of create this new sample here that we have manipulated. So the simplest way to do this is just bounce this in place and then you have your resampled vocal. So let me just add a final little bit of processing here. change the rhythm of this. So this really is a example of real-time experimentation here. And then we can bounce this in place. I'd add a limiter here. To just mitigate these peaks. And then we can go one step further and start adding some more effects here. And then we can bounce this again. And now we have essentially resampled our lead vocal and made it sound like this.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control. Now watch how you fall. You think you held me down, but I keep coming.
And then you can chop this up and actually start placing this around your production, so you can really start to be more intentional with it. Once you have experimented, resampled, and made something new that you feel fits your production, you can then go one step further and start intentionally placing this rather than just leaving it as is. Saturating and distorting vocals involves deliberately introducing harmonic distortion or saturation to the vocal signal, resulting in a more intense and characterful sound. Saturating and distorting vocals can yield several benefits in vocal production. First of all, we can get enhanced character. Saturation and distortion adds color, texture, and character to vocals, making them stand out in the mix and adding interest to the overall sound. Secondly, we can get increased energy. Saturated and distorted vocals can sound more energetic, intense, and impactful, making them particularly suitable for genres like rock, punk, metal, or electronic music, but you can use it in any genre and any style. Thirdly, we have improved presence. Saturation and distortion can help vocals cut through dense mixes, providing clarity, presence, and definition in the mix. And finally, we have creative expression. Saturation and distortion offers producers a versatile tool for creative expression, allowing them to experiment with different vocal textures, tones, and effects to achieve the desired artistic vision for the song. So let's look at this in its practical applications. So we have this section of our song here. We're in the production phase here, and we have got this.
Run, 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 run. You better run, little liar.
So this is a very energetic, distorted, dark section of the song. It's very impactful and epic. So we want to match that with what's happening with our vocals. So first of all, we have got some distortion on this stack of vocals here with Facturator.
Run, run,
So if we turn that off,
run, run,
we're really losing a lot of that drive.
run, run, run.
And then we have got this distorted layer here. So we're adding the capitator, the drive and punish. It's very, very aggressive. The mix is 100%. So let's turn this off and on. So this almost acts as a guitar bend, which is really cool.
Run, run.
Now, here's where we're lacking here, and I think we could benefit from adding some saturation or distortion, particularly in these parts of the vocals.
Run, run,
Run.
Now, this could do with having some grit to it. So there's a couple things that we can do here. We can use saturation or distortion. So I'm going to use Saturn for this and cycle through a few different options.
Run. 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 Run.
Now let's listen to this in the context of our vocals. So I don't like what this is doing to the tone of the vocal. I just want to break this up. And then let's perhaps mix this in. So I like how this sounds. Of course, we need to edit these vocals because what this is bringing out is a lot of the unedited parts, the lip smacks, some noise, that kind of stuff that we will mitigate in our editing phase. But just for us to hear this in the production phase and see how we can go through these effects and create something that really accentuates what we're going for here in terms of our vocal production and the emotional intent, this is kind of what I want to play around with. So I'm going to look at this broken tube as well and see how this sounds.
Run. 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 You better run, little liar. Run. 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 You better run, little liar.
So this is a very simplified version of what I would do here, but
Run. 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 You better run, little liar.
so let's listen to these parts without any distortion or saturation on them and listen to how this is changing how we perceive the energy and emotion of the song.
Run. 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 You better run, little liar.
So we've got a far cleaner, more conservative kind of sound. And when we add these parts back in, we get this.
Run. 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 You better run, little liar.
So it's totally up to you to discern how you would want this to sound. In this particular instance, I think we can get away with a little bit less of this fuzz, so we have a little bit more clarity, because what can happen when you add a little too much distortion is you start to smear the sound, and it's great for certain creative applications, but if we're going for clarity, we may want to just dial that back. But in terms of the energy and aggressiveness and imperfection, we're starting to bring a little more of that in here, which is exactly what we're going for. Tip 8 is formant shifting and formant filtering. Formant shifting and filtering in vocal production are techniques to modify the timbre and character of a vocal performance by altering the formant frequencies of the vocal signal. Formant shifting and filtering are performed for several reasons, each contributing to the overall quality and impact of the vocal performance. First of all, we can adjust the tone. Formant shifting allows producers to adjust tonal characteristics of the vocal performance without changing the pitch, and this can be useful for matching the vocal to the style or genre of the song, creating special vocal effects or correcting tonal imbalances in the original recording. We can also add creative expression here. Formant shifting and filtering offer producers a means of creative expression, allowing them to explore different vocal textures and sonic landscapes. By manipulating the formants and filtering frequencies, producers can achieve unique and innovative vocal sounds that contribute to the artistic vision of the song. We can also use this for correction and enhancement. Formant shifting and filtering can be used to correct and enhance the quality of the vocal performance. For example, formant shifting and filtering can help smooth out inconsistencies in the vocal tone or address issues with pitch and timbre. And finally, we have emotional impact. The tonal qualities of the vocal performance play a significant role in conveying the emotion and mood in a song. Formant shifting and filtering allows producers to manipulate these qualities to evoke specific emotions or enhance the emotional impact of the vocal performance, ultimately creating a more compelling and engaging listening experience. So let's show some practical applications and how we can actually apply these formant shifting and filtering techniques. So first of all, we have got this stack here that we listened to earlier on, and this actually has formant shifting on it. So let's listen to this without any of the processing.
Run, run.
So we've just got the octave below and the mid octave here, and they're just panned out left and right. So nothing fancy going on here. But when we formant shift it a little bit,
Run, run.
it sounds a lot darker and a little more ominous. That paired with the distortion
Run, run,
and some modulation,
run, run,
and then we're just shaping the tone here.
run, 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 run.
We're creating something a little more distinctive within our production, and we're also thinking about the emotional tone here. So when I'm thinking about the formant being shifted down, we're thinking of something a little darker, a little more ominous, and that's exactly what we're going for here. We're talking about running someone, hunting someone else, and this is quite ominous, so we want to use all of the tools that we have available to actually accentuate that. So next up, let's talk about formant shifting on a lead vocal. So we can do the same thing here. Let's pull up our formant shifter, and then you can just kind of listen to what this is actually doing here. So we're essentially adjusting the throat length. Let's turn this off. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We can turn off our saturation. And of course, you can adjust the pitch as well. But what we're doing here is independently controlling the throat length without affecting the pitch. So you could just leave your vocals like this. Or like this. So you can use these as creative effects, and you can also creatively process your vocals to sound like this. There's a lot of genres like hyperpop that do this. And let's now move on to formant filtering. So here we have a formant filter, and what you can see here is as I slide through here, we have got different vowel placements. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this is made under the hood. I'm guessing it's a combination of different frequency curves and resonance to create these different vowel sounds. And we can also make the Q harsher or broader. So let's kind of listen to what's happening here.
You better run, little liar.
We can bring the Q up more.
Run, run, run. Run, run. You better run, little liar.
Now this is pretty aggressive because we've got such a sharp Q, but this actually can work as a corrective tool if you're trying to match the placement of a vocal that maybe we have two separate takes and we've comped it and we love the performance, but you know, we've got one that the placement is slightly different, and we can try and kind of match this and use this as a corrective plugin here. But what the creative applications tend to be most useful here for are actually automating this. So like what I was doing here, we can actually automate.
You better run, little liar.
So we create a little bit more movement here and intrigue around the vocal texture and timbre of it. So you can experiment with this in tandem with formant shifting or just as a standalone. Tip 9 is auto-panning and stuttering vocals. Auto-panning and stuttering are two distinct techniques used in vocal production to add movement, interest, and creative effects to vocal tracks. Both auto-panning and stuttering vocals serve specific purposes in vocal production. Firstly, we can have spatial enhancement. So auto-panning adds movement and spatial interest to vocal tracks, enhancing their stereo imaging and creating a more dynamic mix. Secondly, we can create rhythmic effects. Stuttering vocals adds rhythmic interest and variation to vocal performances, contributing to the overall growth and feel of the song. And finally, we have creative expression. Both techniques offer producers a means of creative expression, allowing them to explore different textures, rhythms, and sonic landscapes in their vocal productions. So first off, let's look at auto-panning. So we can use the tremolo plugin in modulation in Logic Pro. Be sure to click mono to stereo to actually create the panning effect. So let's listen to our lead vocal.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, oh, but you cannot hide. I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares. I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control. Now watch how you fall. You think you held me down, but I keep coming.
So we can auto pan this, so every 2 bars, every bar, every quarter note, half note, eighth note triplet, etc. The vocal is panning from left to right. So this is the simplest way to do it. You can use other plugins as well. You can use Shaperbox to do this by Cable Guys. I'll just quickly show you that as well. But the concept is pretty much the same. So if we just click on pan, and then we can choose the length. We can also choose the shape as well that we want.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, oh, but you cannot hide. I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares. I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control.
And what we can also do here is stack these up.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, oh, but you cannot hide. I'm already inside your mind. Now I'm in your nightmares. I'm kinda thinking I might like this deception control. Now watch how you fall.
So this can create some really interesting effects. I wouldn't recommend doing this on your entire lead vocal, but you know, if you have a specific effect or moment in the song that you want to accentuate, you can do this, and you can automate the mix of it as well. So we could kind of do something like this. Or, you know, we could do this kind of Billie Eilish bad guy thing.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind, now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this, deception control, now watch how you fall.
So you can kind of do that, so you can kind of create that kind of effect. You can play around with the smoothing as to like how aggressive you want this to be as well. So let's move on to stuttering. So you can actually create stutters by pulling the phase to 0 or just making the tremolo mono. Now this isn't actually going to affect the panning, it's just going to allow you to
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind, now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this, deception control, now watch how you fall.
So you can create these kind of stutters, or you can come off of the sync and play around.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide, I'm already inside your mind, now I'm in your nightmares, I'm kinda thinking I might like this, deception control, now watch how you fall.
So you can kind of use this as like an LFO on a synth, kind of similar thing where you can use this, which is essentially what this tremolo is. It's just an LFO, and you can play around with the rate and depth and smoothing to create these rhythmic stutters or gates. Another way to do this, of course, is you can just stutter by chopping these up and making these stutters. Like before this part here, you might want to that kind of thing, or you can make it even faster. And then you can automate the volume of this. You can also auto pan just that section. So we could just turn that on just for this section here.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace.
And you instantly have this more interesting panning stutter that introduces us to the next section of the song.
Putting on a lot of
course, we'd want to finesse that in terms of our mix. We're only in the production phase here, so we're kind of thinking about these more creative, subjective parts here.
Putting on a lot of faces, you think that.
So you can do that kind of thing as well. So the sky really is the limit. You can also use something like a gate, like this trance gate.
On a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace. Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace. Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace. Putting on a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace. Putting on.
And you can also just use a traditional gate as well and side chain the input so that you are creating a custom pattern. Let me show you how to do that really quickly as well. So let's just we'll just use this kilohertz gate, and I'm gonna just play in a pattern. So what we need to do here is just put the output to no output, because we don't want to hear that. We just want that to trigger our gate and then create this pattern. So all I need to do is sidechain this to instrument 51. Turn our sidechain on. So now what we have got going on here is this pattern. And you can adjust the threshold, attack and release. And of course you can make a crazy pattern as well if you really wanted to. Now I'm just very randomly putting this stuff in.
Put in a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, but you cannot hide that more. Put in a lot of faces, you think.
So you can kind of get a little bit more granular here. Let's even make this really fast.
Put in on a lot of faces, you
and see if that makes a difference.
Put in on a lot of faces, you put in on a lot of faces, you put in.
So that's too fast for the gate to recognize it, but you kind of get the picture. This isn't something that I really do with vocals per se. I'll normally do that with synths if I want a specific kind of rhythm. But with the tools available with the tremolo, with manually cutting these things up and using a gate as well, you can start playing around with all of these tools. And our final tip, tip 10, is to process different vocal sections independently. Processing different vocal sections in vocal production involves applying unique effects, EQ, compression, or other processing to specific sections of a vocal performance, such as verses, choruses, bridges, ad-libs, etc. Here's why you might want to choose to do this. First of all, we can add customization. So different sections of a song may have distinct musical characteristics or emotional nuances that require tailored treatment. By processing each vocal section independently, producers can customize the sound to match the mood and intensity of each section. Secondly, we can enhance the dynamics. By applying unique processing to different vocal sections, you can help create dynamic contrast within the vocal performance. For example, adding more compression or saturation to the choruses can make them sound more powerful and impactful, while using lighter processing on the verses can create a softer, more intimate vibe. Thirdly, we can dial into clarity and balance. Processing vocals independently allows producers to address specific issues or challenges in each section of the vocal performance. For instance, they can use EQ to remove muddiness from the verses, add brightness in the choruses, or tame harsh frequencies in the bridge, ensuring that each section sits well in the mix and contributes to the overall balance and clarity of the vocal. You can also highlight key moments. Different vocal sections may contain key moments or phrases that warrant special attention. By processing these sections independently, you can emphasize these moments, making them stand out in the mix and enhance their impact on the listener. And finally, we have creative expression. Processing vocal sections independently offers producers a creative opportunity to experiment with different effects, textures, and treatments. They can use unconventional processing techniques or apply unique effects to certain sections to create innovative and memorable vocal arrangements. So let's look at the song that we have been showcasing so far. So we have already kind of started doing this. So we have got our verse vocal here, and what we can actually choose to do is we can either automate or we can just do separate processing like so. So let's have a listen to what's happening with our verse vocals.
If you had your way, I'd already.
First of all, it feels like we've got too much compression right off the bat.
If you had your way.
They're also a little too up front, so for the verses I'm going to bring them down.
If you had your way.
Let's delete our automation here, bring this down.
If you had your way.
I might choose to change my compression settings here.
If you had your way, I'd already be dead, down on my knees, but I ain't easy to break. Watching it fall brick by brick, the walls that you built, all the stories you formed. Oh, this is a war. You bet.
And then in this section, we're going to pull this over to our chorus vocals, which has our saturation that we spoke about earlier on. So let's bring that up. I'm actually going to use the capitator, and I'm going to independently process these two sections. And I might want to add a different spatial processing setting here as well. So I want to add some delay here. So we've got this more distorted vocal with this slap-ish kind of delay, and then we've got this softer vocal that I might want to add a long, luscious reverb to. So we can start to think about how we're processing these differently.
If you had your way, I'd already be dead, down on my knees.
So very different to what's happening here.
Run, 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 run.
So we've got different parts here, and then this section.
On a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, hopefully you cannot hide up.
We might want to bring our reverb down and automate that down.
On a lot of faces, you think that'll be a grace, hopefully you cannot hide. I'm already inside your mind, now I'm in your night.
And then in this section, we're also adding different vocal processing with the layers. We've got this distorted double here, and we've got this section here. This bridge, we might want to, you know, shape the tone differently and have like a telephonic effect where we band pass it and just allow certain frequencies to come through, or, you know, the sky is the limit here. But this is kind of the starting point for how you want to start thinking about how you are producing your vocals. We're not just slapping a couple of effects, a compressor, an EQ, and then just calling it a day. We're actually thinking about how each of the different vocal parts tell the story within the context of the song, and then start to use all the tools at our disposal to accentuate and to aid the emotional tone, and also to help the listener on the journey of listening to the song, and hopefully want to listen to it again and again and again. So this is kind of how we want to start thinking about processing vocals. We want to think about changing things throughout the duration using both automation and also processing the different section of our vocals independently as well. So there you have it. Here are 10 vocal production tips to really level up your vocal production chops. Now, tips and tricks and techniques and tools are all great. It's useful to learn all of these and put them in your toolkit, but without the expert application that comes from really knowing the fundamentals, dialing all of this in, and really practicing and executing on producing as many tracks as possible, these tips and tricks are kind of useless. So I really recommend dialing in on the fundamentals first, and then using all of these little techniques as you start to progress in your career as a producer. So now that you have these 10 tips under your belt, the next step is to download the free 12 steps to organize your sessions cheat sheet that will help you go and apply all of this to your mixes moving forward. Just click the link in the description and you can go and grab that. Then once you've done that, there's another entire course you can dive into to learn the ins and outs of vocal production. I reveal everything you need to know about vocal production in the video you see on screen now. So just click that video if you want to learn how to master vocal production. Enjoy the next lesson.